the Philippines to Myanmar. Our hearts are with you in Myanmar. Jamaica's in the house. Morning, Chef Daniel. Cyprus and Serbia. We've got people from the UAE. It really is a fabulous time to come together. I love to have, I mean, you're mid-afternoon chefs. I am morning tea right now, so I'm just getting my day started, and some people are finishing their day. It's really lovely to have a cup of tea with everyone all around the world. It's great to share what we're going to speak about today. We're going to talk about the Nestlé Professional Sustainability World at the Global Chef Challenge this year. Before we get into that, this is Sustainability Around the World. I am Chef Shona Chalmers from Feed the Planet Sustainability and Inclusivity Committee. I'm the chair for that, and happy to share with you our latest and amazing winners of the Global Chef Challenge for the Nestlé Professional Sustainability Green Spatula Award. So welcome, Chef Andreas, and welcome, Chef Dinners.
Hi to everyone.
Great to have you both here. Now, some of you at home, because we're right on the 8 o'clock, and if I'm nothing, I am absolutely timely. So we will get started right into it. And what I wanted to share first, because some of you might not actually know what this Nestlé Professional Sustainability Award is. So this Green Spatula Award that we've got, it is an award that's given for the first time this year at the Global Chef Challenge in Singapore, sponsored by Nestlé Professional, and it speaks to food waste, and it speaks to energy and water optimization. So when you think about how would I win this part of the competition, because it's a separate award from winning the Global Chef Challenge. There's the awards there. They're kind of fun. I really like what they've done. They've made it very green, and that's what it's all about is, did you control your mise en place? You know, were you able to fillet or bone your meat well? Were you portioning items well? Was there a lot of waste? All the things you would consider in a competition anyways. But then there's the added piece of when you're boiling things, did you put a lid on to keep it in? Did you only use the energy and water you needed as you needed it, right? Were there any sort of cross-utilization of product that you could do, like cross-utilization of meat or vegetables? Was there, you know, did you have recycling and compost and everything labeled clearly? Were you really mindful of how to be sustainable? And that's really what this Nestlé Professional Sustainability Green Spatula Award is about. Now we have two amazing chefs here who have taken time out of their day, and I really appreciate it because they're honestly prepping for dinner in some wonderful places around the world. We have Chef Andreas, who's with us here from Norway, and we have Chef Dinners here from Latvia. So both of them took time out of their day to be with us today to share how they won these awards and what they did to sort of move forward and winning in the Global Chef Challenges for these things. So we're going to speak first with Chef Andreas. Chef Andreas, can you just introduce yourself, full name, and where you're working at right now, just so everybody knows a little bit about you, sort of where you sit in your occupation?
Yeah, of course. My name is Andreas Ingerfjellheim. So I'm from a small place in Norway called Aurskog. It's about 6 miles away from Oslo. So Oslo is where I'm based right now, and working as the head chef of a restaurant called Arakataka. So quite hard to both spell and write, but yeah.
That's part of the reason I had you say it yourself, because
Yeah, exactly. It's not too easy.
I'm not gonna lie. I am great with names and remembering them, but I have to get my tongue around it first. And Andreas, I really appreciate you coming to us from Norway. I know you had to stop your mise en place just to come in and speak with us. So the first thing I want to ask is, when you were practicing for, because you won the Young Chef Global Chef Challenge, you did a clean sweep, is what I see from when I started reading. You won not only the Nestle Professional Sustainability Award, you also won the Veal Award and the Young Chef Global Chef Challenge Award, right?
Yeah, of
All
course.
three. That's amazing. First of all, kudos to you. Your planning and coaching and mentoring and all that we'll get to after. But When you were practicing, did you have the sustainability award in mind, or did you have anything that you were planning, how you were setting up or practicing for that?
Yeah, no, honestly, I didn't even know about the award itself before I came to Singapore and actually pretty much won it and were given it. But I've always had a mindset to work as eco-friendly and as sustainable as possible. Of
Yes.
course, with a background on the Norwegian junior culinary team, we work in a way that is very clean, and we are taught to um, use every part of the vegetables, for example, and take what's the English word for it? Kind of take as much from what you have.
Yeah,
Uh,
cross utilize it. I mean, it was
yeah,
already
exactly.
part of your training. It was already part of what you do in your everyday.
Yeah,
So,
great.
I mean, you're a young chef, but you're already running a place, which is phenomenal with a promising career. How do you see your generation changing sustainability? Like, what do you see your impact being as far as changing? Because sustainability so far up to where I am, I can tell you my generation has done mediocre at best job of doing things. We maybe recycle in some compost. Where do you see your generation taking it and making it?
Uh, yeah, I see that we can take it quite a lot further, especially with the food waste in particular. Of course, at our restaurant here, we work in a way that all leftover pieces and all parts from the animal, for example, when you cut down a whole cow or pork or whatever, and we
Mhm.
use all the different parts of the animal to make all of the dishes. We never buy, for example, just like a tenderloin or a shoulder or whatever. We use everything and try to make dishes with what we have and what we are given directly from the nature. And it seems like it's actually getting a bit more popular, and it seems a bit cooler to
Yeah,
use all the difficult parts of the animal, or for example the leftover vegetables that no one else wanted, like the different shapes. And
yeah,
yeah, it's I see that my generation can maybe bring something there and
definitely.
find new ways.
How do you find your customers? How do you find your customers are receiving these less priority cuts? I think they should be called priority cuts because they should be our priority. But
Yeah, definitely.
how do
Yeah,
you see
it's
this?
a little bit of what you just said. People, not everyone is necessarily has the best expectations for it when they are given, for example, vegetable-based dishes, where we just use a bit of pork fat, or we make sauces with the broths, for example, and makes the vegetable stars. Or if you use the shoulder instead of like a tenderloin. But all the guests are very excited and very very happy when they have tried it, and often are very impressed of how we are able to um, take use of these a bit
Yeah.
more difficult parts.
Do you share that? How do you share that with your guests? Do you do it through your menu writing? Do you do it with training your front of the house staff, or is it a combination, or do you speak with the customers? How do you share that sort of sustainability picture in what you've done?
Yeah, it's a bit of everything. Of course, it's a bit difficult. We are quite a busy restaurant as well, so it's not always that easy to get out everything we want to say to the guests. And of course, a lot of guests are different, so not everyone are very interested in knowing everything we do. But in our menu, it's quite simple. We usually only have the three main components written in the menu, and after that, the rest is kind of like you have to wonder a little bit. So you get more information when either the chef or the waiter
Okay.
comes to the table to present it. So it's a bit of a mysterium before you are being presented the dish.
That's
So
great.
because of that, a lot of the guests are interested in. We get to tell the story.
That gives you the opportunity to play with a little bit more seasonal and local, I guess, too, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's what we do. So we work with the season and what is local. So we are given vegetables and different proteins from farmers close to Oslo, and then we write the menu after that. So we change the menu every second to third week.
Yeah.
Sometimes more often as well.
Yeah, as the seasons change, right? You want to try and stay with it. I used to do mine every
Yeah,
9 days. It was a strange number, but it seemed to work well for our seasons here in
yeah,
Canada.
yeah, nice.
So you were awarded best veal, and a lot of people think you can't do meat sustainably. How do you sort of approach or ensure that you're treating veal or any other meat sustainably or ethically?
Yeah, this is like I said, I'm used to working with whole animals. I also grew up on a farm,
Mm,
so I always had like a dear relationship with all animals. Um, and it's really important to me to make sure that every life you take to eat, you treat the produce as good as you can to respect the produce for what it is. And this is also why we use all the different cuts, everything, and only take whole animals. So we are able to, instead of when you, for example, just use tenderloins, you're going to use tenderloins for quite many animals on one menu for only a week. But when you take in one whole animal, I get the name of the animals we buy, and often I'm out at the farms and visiting and seeing which animals we are getting in a month or 2 weeks, or when they are getting
do that.
slaughtered.
That's amazing. That's a
Yeah,
dream. When I was a chef, that what you're doing there, you really do take it to the next generation. That was what I wanted to do. And I'd bring in a lamb once in a while and do that. But for the
yeah,
most part, I brought in the parts that the customers were demanding. You, I think, have flipped sort of the conversation and the way things are happening by saying, here's what we've got. We're going to make it beautiful for you. Take it as it is, right? So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
amazing that you're able to have change sort of the conversation of how food is being delivered. So getting back to sort of your competition, because this is fabulous that you're doing this in work, which helped with the competition. And I honestly, like I said, didn't know that this Nestle Professional Sustainable Award was there. You didn't either going into it, but you already had that. What sort of mentorship did you have in your career that would have sort of guided you towards the sustainable practice?
Oh, difficult, of course, from the beginning, growing up at a farm with a grandfather, which is both fishing and a hunter.
Okay.
Um, we always used what we had at the farm and what we could buy locally. So of course that is a big part of it and something I've had with me for my whole life growing up.
Yeah.
Also, all the places I've worked, it's always been important to make sure we are as sustainable as possible. And
Yeah.
also all the Norwegian Chefs Association and all competitions in our country has always, at least for as long as I have been competing,
Yes.
put sustainability and the way you work very high. So you kind of are being forced to think a little bit sustainable if you are
Yeah,
going to be able to win. And
it's driven into you first, and then it becomes second nature,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
It
So
has
now
to.
it just feels natural from
Yeah.
all the people I've learned from, and yeah, and everything.
Have you? I mean, I know I've traveled to a bunch of different places in the world. I don't know how much traveling you've done, but I've been to some places in the world, and I've been to a conference or different sort of trade shows, and they didn't even have a recycling or a compost bin. My heart sinks now when I see something like that. I can't even imagine that being a possibility still in our world, and it exists, right? Like it. Have you seen
Yeah,
anything like this in your travels at all, or
I haven't traveled that much to be honest, and often with the travels, it's always been because I was going to work for a couple of days or with competitions.
yeah,
But
you stay inside of a bubble most times, right? So
exactly, but yeah, you definitely see it, and I have seen it the way garbage is being recycled in a very weird way, especially from what I'm used to here in Norway.
yeah,
Here we are quite good at it, and it's
yeah, you're very
yeah,
forward thinking in Norway. I know that. And with having I mean, almost anyone I've spoken to from in your part of the world, you have a real connection to the food and to the land and the sourcing of it. So there's no waste. Where in some places, I can say from where near where I am, there's people that it's a much more urban sort of behavior and it's very disposable. and there's a lot of waste. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for sharing. So we're going to switch
of
over right
course.
now to dinners. Dinners had won the Vegan Chef Challenge and for the Nestle Professional Green Spatula Award for sustainability. Thank you, Dinners, for joining us. So you did the vegan competition, and vegan is not your comfort food in Latvia, I believe, right? I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, but how did you push your creativity to get sort of plant-based while keeping sustainability in mind? Like, was it something you focused on, the sustainability part of it, when you were competing for the vegan challenge?
Uh, First of all, we read the rules,
Yeah, of
and
course.
then we yeah, and then was the sustainability that award,
Yes.
and first time we see that they are cutting off the silicone molds and something like that, and we cut it to the two molds only or one.
Yes.
We decided to use more metallic molds, something like that.
Usable, all reusable products, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you took
You need
some,
to in long term.
yeah, you took some real clear steps because you'd competed. Have you competed in anything internationally before, like any other competitions previously?
Uh, 2016, it was a San Pellegrino.
Okay.
Also in the Baltics, Heritage Cup,
Oh wow.
Bocuse d'Or,
Wow.
World Chef, yes.
So you've done a lot of them. That's great. That really gives you a broad scope.
Since since 2010, it's competition all year.
Okay, so you're competition minded, but when you have done those, was it still sort of, was there any focus or any ideas about sustainability while you were doing those other competitions, or has it just sort of evolved and become more and more now?
Each year, they are pushing for this team more and more.
Yes.
And when you compete in some competitions, you see more and learn more.
Yeah. Yeah, you see from other people as well what they're doing, right? Like that's a big learning curve is seeing what some of the other teams, because some places, like I'm gonna say in Norway and in the Nordic countries, they're doing some fabulous work that maybe not everywhere in the world is
I
doing the same.
agree.
And it gives you a lot to work from, and being in those other competitions, like those are phenomenal competitions to be a part of. Do you see it being used in those other competitions as well? Do you see sustainability being part of the evaluation or part of the way they're moving with things like, say, Boku Store? It just happened recently.
I think it will be go further for the other competitions because it's a great thing to
Yes.
think about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's coming more, and I see even with doing things like you've seen the edible buffets and things like that. It used to be so many pieces that you couldn't eat, and now they have people coming to eat it, and it can be not so much waste being done, right? And not so much uh,
yeah, eatable plates and spoons and something like that.
you can eat everything, right? There's no
Yeah,
waste at all. So right now, you may not realize it, but you have some beautiful plates here from your vegan chef challenge. I was there in Singapore when you were competing. So you are a mentor and you are now a national figure. Believe it or not, that's where you sit. So from where you sit, how do you try to promote sustainability as a competitor, as a national figure of Latvia?
for the how to say for the young chefs, it could be like to think about more that you can get in your country, your products, and what you can make from them, not
Yes.
from other sides.
Yeah, it's just sourcing a little bit more locally, right? Do you do much within the Latvian Chefs Association at all?
In the chef club, yeah, we have a Latvian chef club, many chefs in there. And
And
also we have local competitions, and we are adding also the sustainability inside the competition.
oh, good. So it's becoming a part of what you do
Yeah,
now.
zero waste and something like that now.
Oh, exciting. That's very great. because then you're sharing it with young chefs and other chefs as well. So from where you're working, is it a part of what you do? How do you incorporate, I guess, sustainability where you're working? Tell us a little bit about where you're working and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I work at Latvia in Riga, restaurant Interstall. Uh, we have all 5 course menu.
Yes.
Uh, Also some vegetarian things.
Yes.
If we need, we can make also the vegan,
Okay.
but we take the local ingredients, and we are thinking of how can we use all from there,
Okay.
and how it's said correctly, take the maximum out from the ingredients.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's, so even cross utilizing on your menu too, right?
Because when you are peeling the roots, in some places they are throwing away.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
are keep them and in the freezer and in the month of end making a stock.
oh,
Then you
great.
can use the stock further.
That's great. This
Some
is
small thing from
every piece you do matters, right? And I mean, I see you standing up there. And do you pass on, how are you passing on sort of this knowledge? Are you doing it in your restaurant, in the club? Are you sharing sort of, you have this competition bug, I'd say, right? Because it's been 15 years you've been competing. You definitely have the fever for competition, which is fabulous. Do you share this with other young chefs, how to get to that? Like the young chef that's with you as your assistant, how do you engage them to be more sustainable as well?
they come to us like an interns, and
Yes.
then we see if he interested. We put in him and her and
Yep.
take with us with the competition to see them because that my young chef who will help me also was in the chef of the year, but
Okay.
he get the young chef award. Then he will be also. I want to compete again in the local Bocuse d'Or this year. He
Okay.
also will be with me, and now he will go to the Lithuania and also in skills.
Okay.
And we help him to
Really train.
train and
Yeah. Do you try and use similar training, like that same sort of sustainability mind of using the same products, like cross utilize? I know in some competitions you can't use the same product more than once, but do you try and train? Is this why you're cross training them so that when you get to this one?
it's like you take some details and
Yes.
upgrade each time, and it's not the different the same.
Yeah, 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 and then you're improving on their capabilities to cross utilize a product as well, right? That's amazing. So I also wanted to share, thank you, Chef Dinners. We had Chef Tom, Michelin star kitchen for years. He had won Tom Lemmers. He won the Nestle Professional Green Spatula Sustainability Award for the senior chef competition, I believe. Yes. And he had sent in some of his answers, and I just wanted to share some of the ideas because there's a few questions here I will get to. There's Hussein, I'm not sure what the SPIC competition is. If you can elaborate, then I can answer your question better. But if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A, and then I can more easily share with you. But he had spoken to some of the things that generally when you're going into a competition, here's what you should be looking at if you want to compete sustainably and possibly win this Nestle Professional Sustainability Award. So something that both of the chefs had mentioned, and either of you can chime in happily if you hear anything that you wanted to speak to, is to try and do ingredient sourcing locally. So this can be difficult, I imagine, either Chef Dinners or Andreas, when you are competing somewhere else. How do you do local food? Do you use your own or do you use what's there? That's a bit confusing to some people, I'm sure, that are watching. Either of you.
I can answer.
Yeah.
We take from Latvia. The ingredients we can find somewhere.
Okay, great. And Andreas?
Oh, we do as well. Of course, if we know there are some produce that is very similar to what we have been practicing with home in Norway, we
Yes.
can take buy it from there. So of course, in competition in Europe, it's a little bit easier to find similar products. When you go to compete in Singapore, a little bit more difficult. The
That's right.
cucumber is not quite the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, we try to all the very important vegetables like root vegetables and what we have in Norway that are of a very high quality we bring, and
Right.
more delicate stuff that we know is going to be a high quality to the place we go to compete, that we gather there.
I think that's really important because when you're in a set place like a restaurant or a hotel or catering, it's easy to say to source locally or do seasonal things. But when I'm going from Toronto, Canada, down to Brazil, I'm going to be upside down. Like what I think is now seasonal local, I have to almost practice out of season to do what's local to them. So it's good to know that you can bring from what's home and is really authentically Norwegian or Nordic or from Latvia or from Canada, you can bring it with you and then use it there in your competition, and it's not held against you. That's super knowledge to have for our listeners. And then waste management, I think you both spoke to very fluidly. Chef Tom, who won the Global Chef Challenge, had said, reducing your waste and really doing root to leaf cooking, not just the whole animal, but all parts of any vegetable, like you had said, dinners, using the peelings, using the green tops. Like I love turnip greens in almost anything. And if you can make that beautiful on your plate and really showcase that you're using it, I think it's showing a lot for sustainability. Um, Collaborative spirit. So working with other restaurants. So do either of you work with any other restaurants locally to sort of showcase we're both doing great things or we're doing sustainability? Do you find a communal idea when you talk about sustainability, or do you find that people are a little bit more divided in how they do things?
We don't have like any very particular restaurants we work extremely close to, but we have friends working at different restaurants. We're always calling each other,
Okay,
finding
good.
out together what is in season and what is possible to get. And also, if I find something very cool, I call some of my friends working at different restaurants and saying, "Hey, this is a very high quality product.
Right, so
You
you've
should."
created a community. Do you have that
Yeah.
similar community dinners where you are?
How to say, we exchange with your knowledges.
Yes.
If something new, we call and share it.
That's great. How do you create relationships with your suppliers? Because that's a big thing too. If you're thinking about local or seasonal, how important are those relationships with your suppliers to be sustainable?
If I say,
Extremely. Yeah,
okay,
go for,
start.
go first. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, they usually call us or we find them, yes. And now for us, it's one thing, the potatoes. We
Yes.
have a potato dealer. It's funny
Oh,
name, but yeah, he can manage different kind of potatoes you need.
that's great.
Yeah,
Andreas?
it's a little bit about give and take, because sometimes there is some products that we would like to get a hand of that we know are in season. So we have some producers that had to kind of look for it, and other times, for example, the fish producer has way too much of something, and that he needs to get rid of before it goes bad. Then we find a way to cook with that, so it's so we can help them out as well.
That's great. Having those relationships, I think, are really important. Even going into competition, if you can find ways, maybe some of your suppliers have some ideas of here's things that we have that you can really use them. They're kind of cool or they're innovative, or it's from a regenerative farm. Showcase this on your it can be a great relationship to help build for your restaurant or for your competition, I think, right?
Yeah, definitely. We also have, of course, a couple of farms we are working very close with. So
Oh,
before every kind of like walkthrough
yes.
that we had, when we have like a time schedule and try to do the competition at our own kitchen, I
Yeah.
always went out to the farm to pick my own beetroots and my own onions. so I could take them up by hand myself.
Yeah, it's nice to reconnect with the earth
Yeah,
directly. I try and they call it there's a word for it in Japanese, they call it nature bathing. They believe that it reconnects you, helps ground you, and I think connects you better with food so that you can be more thoughtful with how you do things, whether you're competing or in a restaurant or anywhere else. The last thing I think Tom had shared is because we were going to say, you know, one of the dishes at his workplace that really showed a sustainable philosophy was one that is a pan-seared North Sea cod with sea vegetables and a leek green jus and an herb-infused potato mousseline. So they are taking a dish that is made from leek greens and other trimmings that would otherwise be discarded and making it sort of a part of the sauce and really integral to the dish. So using something that's not usually highlighted or possibly discarded or just thrown into stock and making it the star of the plate rather than just like you both had said, letting it go, right? We don't want to waste any of that. And working with local fishermen, working with local food purveyors has really lifted up how they do food sustainably. So getting back to what we can share with our viewers at home that are watching you two amazing chefs on here. I know you're uber busy. We're coming close to the end of our time. I know it flies by super quickly and I appreciate you sharing, but I wanted to give sort of an idea, maybe last thoughts. If someone was preparing for, I'll start with you, Andreas, because we started with you, for the Global Chef Challenge or for a competition that has sustainability in mind, what would you say is two things that they should really be mindful of that will help them a lot with competing successfully with sustainable ideas?
first of all, if you know you're going to compete in October, and it's still May, for example, which it was for me when I was training, find out what you're going to be able to get. What's the best produce that you can gather close to where you are, where you're based, at the time of point when you are going to compete, and
Okay.
also always have in mind from the start, before you start cooking, have an idea of how you can use all the products in the best way, and you can use everything from the products you have,
Really,
before you start cooking anything at all. You should have a
that's
plan
great.
for it
Yeah,
all.
you should play with it. I have
Yeah,
I teach at Humber for culinary students, and they're just learning. But I have them do, sorry, I have them do carrots like 6 different ways, right? So it really showcases how they can cross utilize. But thinking of when you're going to be competing, that is great advice. Thank you for that.
of course.
Dinner's yours is a little bit different. Sorry, I have a tickle. Dinner's yours is a little bit different. When you are thinking about competition, how would you what would you say, because you're in the senior competition for vegan, how would you say, because you are not traditionally a vegan chef, what is the best approach to trying to be more sustainable when creating vegan products? Oof, that's a loaded question, I know.
Hmm. I don't know if how to answer that one.
More to the idea of, would you go from a traditional animal-based dish and then get your creative flow from that way, or would you start
No,
with
I usually take the books or internet and something like that and going through there.
yes?
Then I usually take the colors which I want to use it, and then I put the ingredients under the colors, and then I
Okay.
make it the taste. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a layering effect, right? So find the creative idea, build the colors and flavor, and then put those ingredients to create that final product, right? It seemed to have worked for both of you. You've done fabulous, and you are truly icons in your own time. You may not believe it. We all have a little bit of imposter syndrome, but I think you're doing fabulous, and I appreciate you both sharing with us today. It has been amazing talking with both of you about our Nestle Professional Sustainability Competition winners at the Global Chef Challenge for World Chefs in Singapore. And someone is asking, suggest that each committee quarter short video to introduce their sustainability for young chefs so they can start working on it correctly from their place. Okay, so some people don't know. So maybe they watch. That was just a question I wanted to read to make sure we didn't leave anybody unanswered. I want to thank everyone for watching Sustainability Around the World. I appreciate both of you sharing your time, your experience, and your knowledge with all of us here in Toronto and globally with world chefs watching at home. And I wish you a great rest of your day and a fabulous service tonight. Thank you both, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.